Hey guys, it's Mrs. Green here, and today we're going to start on our first actual project. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to use one of your actual nice pieces of paper from your toolkit. There are two different types of paper in there. One is a little bit thinner and one's a little thicker. We're going for the thinner one. This is regular sulfite drawing paper, whereas the other one is your watercolor paper. So we'll use that later on the semester when we get to paint. So grab out a nice piece of paper, and then you're going to find a cartoon character to draw. You get to choose whoever it is, I don't care. But you are going to want to make sure that he has at least 5 values. On this one, this plankton, see how he has like some shadows happening in places? So there is 1, 2, 3, 4 values just right there in that little area on him, okay? So kind of take a look at that, make sure there's enough shading for you. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, a big area that's super dark, like his outline's just really dark. But you wanna make sure you have 5 values, okay? Because that is a requirement for the project. And then you're also gonna make sure that you have a good pencil, maybe some paper towels, and a pencil sharpener if you have one, in case your pencil gets dull while you're drawing. All right, the other 2 requirements for the drawing are that you fill the space, okay? So see how this picture of Princess Tiana fills the entire space. So is this one of Chucky Finster and Kim Possible. I'm dating myself a little bit here. These are the cartoons I used to watch. But, so you need to make sure, even if your picture itself, like this picture of Tigger is not that big, but I'm gonna draw it big, okay? Because that's an important skill to learn, how to look at a picture and change the size of it, change the scale of it, okay? The last requirement is that it's not floating. So if we again look at this picture of Plankton here, he is floating on this page. So if I were to draw Plankton, I would have to draw him all the way down at the bottom of the page, okay? Just like how our Princess Tiana here is all the way at the bottom of the page. And some of the pictures you pick might already have this happening like that, like this Tigger does. Okay, so we're going to start drawing now. And I want you to draw in these steps because this is the easiest way to do it. So the first one is to map it. The second is to fix proportions. The third is details. And the fourth is shading, okay? And the reason for this is you don't want to start shading these like dark stripes on Tigger if you don't even have his head in the correct spot. Then you're gonna have to go erase it all, and you're not gonna be able to erase all those dark marks. So that's why we do shading last. That's the easy part. We can do that last. Same thing with details. Why would I worry about his little eyebrows and all of these things if I don't even have his head drawn, okay? So we're gonna start at step 1, which is called a map, okay? And to make a map, I'm gonna hold my pencil kind of back here further up, higher up on the pencil, so that when I draw, I don't draw too dark. Because a map is just trying to help you kind of place things in the picture, okay? It's not gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna start off with just by mapping the top of his head here, okay? So we've got a little curve for his head. It's not perfect, I'm just kind of getting the general idea. And then I'm gonna go down and go ahead and mark the bottom of his chin, because in my opinion, his head is the most important part. So I wanna make sure I get all that information kind of correctly. So he's got a really long chin, if you look at it. It almost comes all the way to the bottom of the page. So I'm just gonna kind of guess that it's gonna be in this area here, okay? And then he's got his hand, it comes up really high as well. So let's maybe put the hand up in this general area, okay? We kind of got the rest of his head, his little ears. They're kind of like little balloons coming off. Got another ear here, okay. And I'm not getting it exactly right. I'm just kind of getting the general idea. We've got a nice like little curve there that comes down into his chin. It's looking kind of creepy, and that's okay. All right, the rest of his back goes there. And then his hand. And I know you're watching this right now and you're thinking, what in the heck is she doing? This looks nothing like Tigger. But trust me, it's gonna come together. All right, so that looks pretty creepy, but I've just kind of got a general ballpark of where things can be. So now my second step is to fix proportions, okay? Like those ears, they're obviously not the right shape, and that's okay. All right, but I'm gonna go through now and kind of fix some of these things. So his head, there's a little bit of a divot right there for his eyebrows. So I'm gonna kind of really make these lines look a little bit bigger. I actually think I need to push this ear out just a smidge now. Okay, so I'm gonna push this ear out just a little bit. Okay, kind of trying to get the shape a little closer. And when I draw, I'm very sketchy. So if I don't get this right, it's drawn so lightly that I can just erase it and it's gonna be okay. All right, and obviously that's not in the right spot, so I'm gonna push this back. Okay, so now we're kind of starting to see his head, the shape of it, the actual shape of it. Okay, let's get this ear right. It's kind of straight. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better, looking a little bit more like it. Now I'm gonna work on this hand because that's the next weird little part. But to do that, I need to get his nose. And so I'm gonna notice how big his nose is. And so one thing you can do when it comes to proportions is you can kind of measure things. So I'm gonna use my pencil, I'm gonna lay it down. The tip of it's touching the top of his nose. I'm gonna pinch it right there. And what I wanna see is this nose bigger than the top of his head or is it about the same? So that actually looks like, if you can see, it overhangs a little bit. His nose, that circle is almost bigger than this area right here. So I'm gonna make this nose pretty darn big. And again, it's really hard to draw a circle perfect on the first time. So I'm just kind of lightly mapping it. No big deal if I don't get it right. Okay, we've also got this little like muzzle type thing. I'm sure I'm not saying the correct term, but that's okay. I am not a veterinarian. I don't work with tigers or tigers. Okay. Now we're gonna move on, we fixed some proportions, now we're gonna move on to details, okay? So I've got the building blocks there. Now I'm gonna worry about these stripes, these eyebrows, the eyes, things like that, okay? So I'm just gonna kind of start marking in this stuff, just like how I did before. He's got some funky little eyebrows, doesn't he? When you start drawing cartoons, you're gonna realize how weird they actually are. Okay. So hopefully you're getting the idea here. You're gonna map, fix proportions, do details, and then the very last thing you're gonna do is shading, because it's, again, it really sucks if you shade this super dark and then I find out his mouth is in the wrong spot and I go to erase it, and no matter what I do, it's still gonna kind of be there, okay? And this is the exact process that I did to draw these and these and this. So that's your first project, drawing a cartoon.